female entrepreneurs turned besties share on life, business, and the journey through the mess. Join their community with every new episode for connection, education, a few laughs, and the hype energy like a bathroom full of drunk girls at a bar. It's okay.
We're your friends now!
Hello, it's Biz.
Hey y'all, it's Katie.
And it is Ashleigh. Hey guys, welcome back. Look at us, we're here. And we had scheduling issues because I just got back from Salt Lake City and was gone for our usual recording day. So look at us overcoming obstacles and challenges.
I usually wouldn't celebrate somebody going to Salt Lake City because, like, of all the places in the U.S., I would not be like, yeah, you did. But I also know that you had, like, a great time. So, yay. I'm so glad you went.
I've never been to Salt Lake. I take that back. I think I maybe have driven by it or through it at some point, but I've never, like, been to Salt Lake City. And can't say I was a fan.
Every time you say Salt Lake City, all I can hear is like the Book of Mormon, like the way that they say it in there, like Salt Lake City. Like that's all I hear in my head.
I did see the temple. First of all, Salt Lake City, you guys need to sort out the way you have your addresses. No one else in the country is doing it that way.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh my God. Okay. I had 4 Uber Eats orders get lost.
Did it make you feel like you were right at home though, since nothing ever comes to your house in Denver?
Crumble's the only one in Denver that gets it wrong. Not a single other delivery service does. So yeah, Crumble, I still hate you, but also thank you because I am much skinnier with you not ever making it to my house.
Whatever. Somebody's got like a voodoo doll of you that they throw around the room. Like everyone.
Seriously, it was crazy. The addresses there will be like 200 West, the South 300 block. And you're like, I don't know where the hell I'm going. Whatever happened to 123 Main Street? Jesus, Salt Lake, get it together. Also, the Mormon temple has bells that go off at midnight. And we were pretty close to one of the temples. So that woke me up. It was beautiful. I landed and I got off the plane and the mountains were right there. And I was like, this is what people expect when they land in Denver.
Yeah.
So that made me giggle because if you've ever landed in Denver, everybody goes, where are the mountains? A long ways away.
On top of the airport.
So, yes, I was in Salt Lake City for a conference and I had zero clue what was going on. I was just signed up for it. I didn't even have like the itinerary. I literally just walked into it not knowing who the person was that was hosting it. I didn't know who was speaking at it. I didn't know what the topics were. And that, I will tell you, is a very interesting way to experience a conference.
It's very unlike you also.
Very unlike me. And so it was like only 500 people, and most real estate conferences, they talk a lot about real strategy. Like, how is this real estate agent succeeding with interest rates being high? How is this team getting their agents to pick up the phone and call the leads? And it's all very tactical. And when you get to a certain point in this career, you realize that it is always the exact same information, right? And so conferences can get pretty boring. You're like, I don't want to sit in this room and hear the same thing I've heard 500 times. I'm just going to be somebody that comes here for networking. And like, maybe I pick up one cool thing. This conference ended up being like 99% about mindset. And I like mindset, but I won't say that I'm somebody that like is all in on it. I find some of it to be a little kitschy. You know, one of the things I was thinking about today in my reflection was that mindset is great, but mindset without action is still not going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
And so it's really that combination of like getting and adopting a winning mindset, challenging your brain to continue to grow and think differently so that you can do differently, without letting it suck up all of your time, because you can spend all day talking and thinking and reading about mindset and then you don't do anything about it. So that's my goal, is to take a lot of what I've learned that I enjoyed and really figuring out like, how can I actually make changes in my day-to-day that will have an effect. So that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit, is like what I learned at the conference, what I took away. I want to read through some of my one-liners and let you guys hear them, and we can chat about them if we so feel like they are impactful enough. And then I want to end it with, they had a speaker who did money mindset. And I've never sat through or listened to anybody doing that before. It's one of those things that I always thought was way too kitschy, but I actually loved it. So
are you a money magnet?
No.
Did you lay on the floor and have dollar bills thrown at you?
No, we did not. It was way more interesting than I thought it would be.
I'm here for
it.
Okay,
I'm very excited.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Some of these are probably fairly basic, but let's just start going here. So 1, you have to do extraordinary things to live an extraordinary life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
That one made me think about, like, what do I spend a lot of my time? So I work a lot with coaching agents, and I spend so much of my time talking to them about like menial tasks. Like, oh, did you go update your CRM? Like, let's make sure you track this. And I was like, you know what? I'm failing them in helping them live a better life, because that's all we spend our time talking about. And if that's what we spend our time talking about, that's what we spend our time doing.
This is really interesting. A lot of what you've brought up has been like really like in our side chats or whatever about it too, like very on par with what I've been thinking about a lot lately. So I had this I wouldn't call it a breakdown, but I had this thought the other day about, like, you know, just things I'm doing and goals that I have, and like either stages I want to be on or put together or whatever. And I was explaining that, like, it's really difficult because I have people saying I'm great or great at certain things or blah, 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 or whatever, but then I'm not like standing out in certain things. And I finally just boiled it down to like, well, if I want to be seen as great, then I need to go do something great. And so it's like my whole phrase has just been like, go do something great. And that's super vague, but figure it out. And so like, this is exactly that, right? Like, you can't live an extraordinary life if you don't do extraordinary. Just go do something extraordinary. Like, it sounds really intimidating kind of, but also it's like, okay, well, can I do this super well or can I not?
Yeah.
And then move forward however that dictates. So I really love that. That's such a cool way to like tie just do something great back into like, it's for my life to be extraordinary.
Yeah, I just am so excited for everybody who's under your leadership, Ashleigh, and the fact that you had that aha. And it makes me kind of look inwardly at all of the different managers and leaders that I've, like, people that I've had in like direct management positions, and how like grateful I am for like the team meetings that had this stuff in it, because it is important, and like chewing through all of it. But it's so easy to get caught up in things that you think are like KPIs, key performance indicators in like any area, not just business, but any area, to where you don't step out and like are getting there with that. It's so easy. And so I love that. Yeah. Cool. Keep going.
Cool. All right. This one I think Biz is just going to love. A mind once stretched won't shrink back down. It's kind of that, like, once you know something, you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
But there's more like
that. I do love it. I also like, I'm addicted to it. That's where like I love extremes. Like, I have such appreciation for extremes people. Like, just fascination.
Extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. You have an appreciation for them.
But not just like in the like, sometimes like the wild extremes when you think of extraordinary, like, you know, like the quote unquote weirdos out there. I'm like, tell me more about that. Like, that's where I think why I can stay genuinely curious in any situation. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, I love it. But it's also hard, because then like it's hard when you see other people and it's like, God, don't you want your brain to be more like, you know, like slime instead of like Play-Doh? But not everybody, there's a butt for every seat. That's what my therapist tells me.
There is.
So you're right. I do love that quote.
There's a but for every seat. Okay, this is like a two-parter. So the first part is business growth is autobiographical, meaning that the growth of your business is not outside of you, it's inside you.
Oh, shit.
So if you want your business bigger, if you want your business to grow, if you want things to improve, you have to grow. You have to improve. You
Get
have
in
to
the arena.
Get in the arena.
Get in there.
Start throwing shit around. See what happens.
See what happens. Fix it later. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Another like third part to that is that the results you create come more from energy that you bring than action you take.
My life is a walking example of that.
And at first I thought,
I'm so tired all the time. I'm just kidding.
Wasn't like at first I thought like no, because like I opened with mindset, it's mindset plus action. And at the same time, if you were to pick up the phone and call 20 people and you don't have good energy, you're not excited about, like if you're in sales and you're not excited about what you're selling, like your results are not going to be as good, even though you took the same action as somebody else.
Have y'all read the 5 Levels of Leadership?
No.
By John Maxwell?
Oh,
our friend. Okay, I'm reading it right now, and he breaks down the 5 levels of leadership. And it talks about like level 1 is positional, so it's title only. Level 2 is relational, so it's where you start to have influence around people, and then level 3 is where you add in production. So it's like somebody who's relational and can produce results is going to be somebody who excels. And this reminds me a lot of that because it talks so much about how like you can go in and kill it with your actions. Like you can do things right, quote unquote, but if you don't bring the right energy and the right attitude and the right mindset to whatever you're doing, you're never going to continue to advance because you're going to be so hyper focused on just doing the actions and only yourself. This reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's the trap that I'm trying not to step in right now.
Read the book.
Yeah.
It's an easy read.
Is it the one he wrote while he was on the cruise in the fjords?
There you go. Thank you.
I think most of his are easy reads because he's very conversational. So like even when they're meaty, he just has like a conversational style of writing. And so it's a little bit easier to digest because it's not just like fact. It's story, fact, story.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a few more and then I want to get into this money lady and share her with people who want to go further into this. Okay.
We'll get out of the bathroom now. Back to subject.
Two last ones, okay? The success you want is the work you're avoiding, which, yep, the ones that I wait on my to-do list are the ones that move my business forward the most. So, yeah, I avoid it. And then this is from, Justin Nelson, who is the sales manager for a mega team in Utah. And this is his mantra is, it takes what it takes.
Ooh.
Very simple. I can't
have that one.
And I think that's a really important conversation is hearing things and choosing whether or not to receive it and knowing why you're not receiving it.
Yeah. I can't have that one because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt and it's already lost in the laundry basket forever and ever.
Got the bumper sticker and
digested. Yeah. Yeah.
Got the bumper and sticker and said, never mind.
Yeah.
That one's
I guess it's still relevant. Like I could still draw from it, but like that does not resonate with me. That one.
I think for you though, especially because like you're so focused on blocking out and prioritizing things that like there's not a lot that you'd be willing at this point in your life to say it takes what it takes. You're going to say like, if I can't do this with this set amount of time or this set amount of energy, then I'm not doing it because it's going to take away from other things and it's not for me. You know what I mean? Like you put your all into the things that you allow onto your plate. And so there's not a lot of other things that you would just say, it takes what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. I do see it very clearly. You're right. But like, you're right. When I first heard it though, I was like, fuck that.
You know what though? I think the other thing that to me it's important when you get into working with people that teach mindset is that you have to remember 90% of them, they're not licensed therapists in any way. And this is just things they've learned through business. And it's important to understand that mental health and mindset can at times be oppositional to one another. So if you so this is one of the things Mel Robbins was catching heat for. She was on a podcast with somebody who has OCD, and she said something about like, well, what you think about you manifest, which is really not something you should say to somebody with OCD because kind of a core issue of the disease.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that that's something to consider if you are in therapy, you've been in therapy, or you would like to get into therapy, that not every piece of mindset advice is good for you.
I really love that. And again, shout out to my therapist. Can't wait to talk to you in a couple of hours today. But on that note, I do want to talk about my cool little toy here that I'm actually using. And it's perfect for that because feelings are not facts. And like one of the, where we're talking about time. So my husband sent me this YouTube video and was like, he actually didn't send it to me. He brought it to me and was like, tell me when you have 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, go. And I looked at him and he played the video and it was this guy using a chess clock to time back and forth when he was doing a work activity versus like fucking off on his desk to like actually track it. And I have been trying to figure out for myself this time management thing for like months at like, you know, all this stuff. So of course I get done with the video and I'm like, okay, sold, I want one. And then he put one down in front of me with batteries and everything. Because he knew from a few days before that he knew I'd want one. So big shout out to my hubby for that. But I've been using it today and it's my first day at it. And I'm really, really, really curious to get to look at the data with it, with all of it. So like, I love that you're talking about like being mindful of that stuff because it's really easy to like hear something and latch onto it and then be like, oh, that's my problem. And then like, boom. And like, that may not be factual. It may just be your feeling right then. So tools exist.
That's true. I also think, Ashleigh, it takes what it takes. I really like that. And I'm probably going to print it out somewhere because, you know, we've been going through some things for the past while, and I've had a lot of struggles about like what I wanted to do and what I was capable of doing and all of these things. And I remember how I used to I remember a lot of things, like how committed I used to be to my work and how dedicated and how much I would put into it. And obviously like priorities shift and, you know, I have a kid and a husband that I enjoy hanging out with now. And so like, obviously they're going to take up more time, but there were more times than not that the things I was doing, I would have like after hours where I could have been working and I just didn't want to. And I remember so clearly, like, some conference or something I was in where somebody said, like, just find what you're obsessed with and then go do it, like get paid for it, you know, whatever. And I realized I wasn't obsessed with anything I was doing. And while I don't think you should be completely obsessed with work to the point that you neglect your family, it takes what it takes is such a good filter of like, would I be willing to put more effort into that? And if not, like, do I need it around? Like, should I be pursuing that? Because like, would I be willing to say, okay, it takes what it takes, but I want to do this, like this is a goal or not?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. I like that.
That's exactly where I'm at right now. And what started the journey with me, like hiring out other people, and that delegate list was like where you like have that problem of like, you are doing too much and to like, to know, let go of. But it's a constant re-examination. And that's why, like, again, going back to Ashleigh's like nugget last week, like every day is all we have. And so I love that though. Thank you for sharing that, Katie. Like, that's really cool to hear like where you are with it and how you're interpreting it. That's really cool. I'm excited for you to see what you do with that.
Me too, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm getting that arena.
Okay, these are so good, Ashleigh.
Wow. You need to drop all of these in our Facebook group.
Yeah. I wrote them all down like I'm at a conference. This is great.
Oh, I didn't.
Well, we recorded this, so.
Yeah, I mean, they're recorded, so you're fine.
Okay, so I'll give you this woman's name. She's a coach in Australia about money.
Ooh.
And money mindset. And as far as I understood, she does not have a book that you can buy. But you could get connected with her in the social media world. Her name was Jen Cudmore, Cudmore, I believe. I wrote it down somewhere and I probably butchered the spelling because I was trying to write so fast. Yeah. And so she has a couple of different things she does. She takes people through what she calls your money archetype. And
funny how that comes back around.
It does. I was like, oh, we just talked about archetype. But her website is jencudmore.com/au/money. And she's got tons of information on there to go through if you're interested in this. And believe me, I understand the hesitancy. Like, this is too woo-woo. I'm not like this. I don't really do this kind of stuff. But I was really surprised when we did just a small 30-minute exercise with her, what I discovered about my own issues around money. And she talked a lot about how we pass our limiting beliefs through generations based on trauma that we have experienced. So if you have a family that has been through living in a war-torn country and extreme poverty, there is a lot of trauma-based beliefs around money that will inform your parents for their whole lives. And they will subconsciously pass that to you, even though you don't live in a war-torn country or through extreme poverty anymore. And it can then get passed on again and again and again. And it not only can block you from building your wealth, it can also just create a lot of struggle and stress that maybe doesn't need to exist. So a couple of journal prompts that she gave us is, where do you feel unfulfilled in your life? And where do you feel stuck? So I think those are two really good journal prompts for anytime you're in the headspace to do it, because it's not a great place to explore. And sitting in that white space on your calendar for a little bit to really think about those two things. I don't think we ask ourselves that too much. We often are usually saying, like, where am I stressed? Where can I do better? Like, where do I need leverage? Where in my business do I need to spend more time? But we rarely stop to say, like, where in my life am I unfulfilled? And it's kind of an eye-opening question to dive into. So journaling on both of those, we spent some time doing that. And then she had us journal on two words, complete and creative. So how would being complete with money feel? And how would being creative with money feel? And her kind of definitions of these is that if you are complete, you have a deep well of fulfillment. And if you are creative, you can pivot to adapt to changes. And then at the end of this, you can have a little mantra that you say to yourself, which is, my goal for this balance is I am complete and creative about money. And you can journal on that and experience how would it feel to be somebody that is complete and creative about money. There were a couple other little mantras that didn't stick with me quite as well. I have a healthy relationship with money. That one just didn't quite grab me. I did like, she said that it's not about worshiping money. It's about being in alignment with it. And I do like that because I don't love feeling like my purpose is to get more money so that I can drive better cars, buy better houses. Like, I don't like that side of it, but to be in alignment with it, I can get behind. So if you can do this, I don't want to spoil the journal prompt for you because it's really interesting. So if you can write it down, think of a person in your life that you love and write their name down. And then once you have that person, write like 5 qualities or attributes about them that you love and admire. I hope y'all are doing this at home too. And once you have a few attributes written down, next to the name, you can cross it out or just put an arrow. Instead of their name, put money.
Oh.
Katie, do you want to share any of the attributes that you wrote down?
Well, this is funny to me because the first one that I wrote down was funny.
Funny money.
But funny, smart, caring, loving, and exuberant.
I'll share what mine were from the experience I had. I had wrote steady, generous, loving, reliable, hardworking.
That's interesting.
It was really weird.
Really interesting.
Mine is free. Like free loving, like free. Yeah.
This is really interesting.
So I like that it almost like personified money in a way that, like, instead of just thinking about it as this materialistic thing or this thing that I need to cover my bills, it's like all these qualities of money that I'm in alignment with. I want my money to be hardworking.
To your point of being in alignment with it, this almost makes you view money as a partner. So it's like a partnership in life of like, this is the tool that I'm using to accomplish my goals and mission. And I do like that.
Yeah.
It also makes it not so like, it's not you versus money. Yeah, it's not like a thing. It brings it into like, these are the positive attributes of the things that I can do with money.
Really glad that you just explained that, Katie, because that's why I was struggling with actually doing it when Ashleigh was explaining it, is because I was kind of lost in this mind trance of like, how do we deal with being okay with having lots of money when there's a lot of people that we can really help like that? And then this like whole worthy bit, and I was kind of squirreling through all of there. And I really love, Katie, I love that. Like, thank you, Katie, because you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yep.
I'm going to share this slide I took a picture of in our group. So if you want to read, there are 20 limiting beliefs that are passed through generations about money. And I'm not going to read all of them because it will take forever and it will get boring. But I will read some of the ones that stuck out to me that I think maybe a lot of people do find themselves falling into the trap. So let's start with one is that selling is manipulative, which creates resistance to promoting your services effectively. A lot of people, I think, struggle with that. Selling their services is manipulative or taking advantage, or I must do everything myself. That blocks delegation and scaling in business. You have to be in debt to succeed, which leads to unnecessary financial stress. You have to be born into wealth to make real money. That's a big one for me. I say that one all the freaking time. And that limits personal financial potential. The last one that stuck out to me is we're just not the kind of people who get rich. It's an inherited identity of financial limitation.
Man, this is so fascinating. I wish we could have I almost want to read through those really quickly and pull out mine because gosh, yeah, we're so similar. Cause I guess that's why there's 20 of them, right? Like a butt for every seat around it. That's cool.
Yeah. And if you really work with her, she helps you with identifying your archetype. And then some of those limiting beliefs correlate with certain archetypes. So there's a lot, it goes a lot deeper than just what the brief 30 minutes I got to do with her. But it was just eye-opening for me in a way that, like, if I was in a bookstore and a book from her was on the shelf, I would not have picked it out. And if I had known the itinerary and I was choosing what breakouts or what sessions to go to, I probably would not have picked hers. And so I was just kind of like forcefully subjected to things that, like, I would not do. And it was so interesting to have them spark things in me. And it's not always, what was really interesting is there were some things that really did not grab me. We did this breath work, basically meditation. And at the end of it, a lot of people were like, I had a life-changing revelation. And I was like, I fell asleep. It gave me zero. But I did, I tried it and I participated. And it was something that I was subjected to that I would not normally do. And that one was right before I think it was right before. It was right after she had come on. And so it was interesting because it wasn't until the next day somebody gave us a different prompt and they gave us white space on our calendar to sit there in the audience and think. And they asked like journaling questions and you're sitting there thinking about them. I don't know that I would have had the revelations I had then if I had not been participating earlier in the other sessions. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't take notes from that part because it was very hands-on and I was just trying to like experience it. And now I wish I had taken notes so that I could share about it. But it was basically just one of the coaches sitting there. It was just him on the stage, sitting in a chair, asking us to close our eyes, breathe in, breathe out, and then giving us prompts to think about. And he took us through like, where in your life are you not full in? And why aren't you all the way in? And if you looked in your future, what does it look like if you were all in? If you started today, 5 years from now, what do you see? Visualize it. And it was just really weird because I'm not somebody that usually buys into this kind of stuff, but I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking and journaling on it and whatever. And like I could do this and I really do want to accomplish this. And he says, picture it. And I swear I saw the perfect image of Cassie as an adult. Oh. And I was like, oh, because all of a sudden, like this sparked thought came to me that I never really considered, which is weird because I do think about my kids' future a lot, but in a more practical sense. And it just occurred to me that the smaller world I live in, the smaller their world has to be. And I'm thinking about that because Cassie's been talking more and more about, she's been playing a lot of music. She's getting more interested in songwriting. She wanted to watch the Taylor Swift documentary. And she's asking me about like, how did Taylor Swift publish an album at such a young age? And I was like, well, her dad was in the music industry and he had contacts and it helped her. Taylor Swift is very talented. Taylor Swift is great. But it helped that her dad lived in a world that he had the kind of contacts to do that.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
There is something about like my kid's future is dictated by me being worthy of having a world big enough where if my kid came to me and said, I want to be an actor, I'm like, well, I can't call anybody. I don't know anyone. I'm not famous. Like, right. I don't know. And versus if I lived in a way that was big enough that I'm worthy of being in proximity to people that can make anything my kids want happen.
Yeah. I like that because, I talk a lot about, and other people talk about like how I love connecting people. And I've said for years, like if I want to connect people to really cool people, I need to know a lot of cool people. And flipping this to like, that's such an actionable way for me to think about how to make Connor's world bigger is like, I do that in a professional setting all the time. How can I be laying the groundwork for like, who do I need to know that could potentially make my son's life better down there? And not in just like a selfish way, but like what blind spots do I have on my sphere and network that like and how can I be extraordinary so that I'm worthy of the conversations to open up the world to him, even if it's not something he wants to pursue, but like exposing him to it, to like know that it's out there. That's interesting.
So there was a conversation that I had when I was on Defusky Island with a person, and they were like, we were talking about me taking Liv with me places and how I wanted to wait to take her international. And they literally simply challenged me and were like, why? And I was like, oh, well, because all societal reasons. And they basically put back at me, and I was like, well, what do you think? And they put back at me that like worldview is so important. And so that sat with me. And I've been really intentional the past year since joining the Empire Circle to bring Liv in and expose her to as many people as possible. And I never realized it, Ashleigh, until you're like describing all of this. And I just want to thank you for saying it. Because like we went to New York and stayed with another woman entrepreneur, like friend of mine. And so like I've stayed, and she has seen and met like multiple people, and I have been intentional about it. And like when we saw my cousin Rachel, like, hey, that's the first woman in our family with a PhD. Like that's a big freaking deal. And then like my college roommate, her Aunt Beth, I'm like, hey man, like she went to school for 8 years. And so like now she's got this kind of stuff. So just exposing her to that. And that's how I'm doing it, is by just calling people out that are already in her life anyway. Because like you said, Katie, like you were a collector of amazing people, and like you too, Ashleigh. And so it's really, I can't wait like for you to like just make that little switch of just being intentional about it, because I feel like that's all I did was just get intentional about it with that.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's one of those things, like it's just putting a smidge more attention on it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, I don't need to focus my entire day on it. I just need to take like 1% of my time every month towards it. And it'll make a huge difference.
To her why you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and like that kind of thing. Like that's so cool. I didn't realize I was doing it though until you just like, that's what it's, I'm always like that with myself though. It's like in retrospect, then I realized that it was good. But that's something else for me to talk about today in therapy. Oh man, I love you guys. Thanks for sharing everything, Ashleigh.
Yeah.
I still want to see pictures of all your notes. I love seeing like the scratch, like your way your brain works, because everybody takes notes differently, you know? It's always fun.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I just in closing thoughts, like if you have the opportunity to go to a conference, and this works better on a small scale, a smaller conference, and not analyze the itinerary ahead of time and just allow yourself to experience things as they happen without having time to put up your guards and your, not limiting beliefs, but your pre-installed beliefs about something. You don't give yourself time to like, ooh, I'm leaving the room because I don't want to do this part. Just go and do stuff that you wouldn't do. And it'll be interesting at least.
I was just about to ask, like, if you would have looked at the itinerary ahead of time, how easy would it have been for you to be like, oh, I have some work calls to make, so I'm just going to schedule them during these ones because that's not my thing.
Huh. Yeah, I'm just going to jump out in the hallway. I'll go grab lunch at this time, and
yeah,
but no,
yeah, we all have. That made me. When you threw down that challenge, Ashleigh, that gave me that feeling of, when you say something scares you or you're like opposed to it, and so you have to do it. You said like go without reading the itinerary, and I was like, absolutely not. So that means I probably need to find one to go to. This was really cool. Thanks for sharing everything with us. I took lots of notes on your notes. So this was great for me.
It's like going to the conference.
Okay, at some point, I want to talk to you guys about the idea of solo traveling.
Yeah, we could do an episode on it.
Yeah, I think we totally should. I'm just curious. I would love to talk about that with y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope this was helpful and eye-opening. And please leave us a 5-star review. Help other people find us and join us in our Facebook group. And we will see you next week.